Namaste everyone. This video is about how to write dance theory papers. In the US and Canada, Bharati Vidyapeeth is one of the biggest examination provider university, and the written exams are coming up in another few days. So I thought in the light of those exams, I should make a video and it will benefit everyone. I know Gandharva Mahavidyalaya exams will be coming up in early December. So pretty much all dance students will be geared up now to to prepare for the theory exams, right? So just to give you some introduction to what I have in my mind. So I have been setting theory papers and checking them and teaching dance theory for a long time now, over 20 years. And there are some things that I have noticed in all this long span of time. And I wanted to share those things with you all so that you can do better in your dance theory papers. So I must say that all the points that I'm going to include in this video are definitely from my own experience, and whatever I have noticed prominently, I'm going to include it in this video. So firstly, I'm going to talk about layout. So make sure the layout of your paper is good, it's neat, it's legible. It's a myth that handwriting does not count anymore. It does, because if your handwriting is not legible and if the paper is not well laid out, the examiner kind of gets tired while checking your paper. He or she is still doing their job, so they have to read the answers thoroughly and make notes and then grade you. But let's make their job easy and give some importance to the layout and neatness and keeping the paper clean, and whatever best you can do with your handwriting, definitely you should do that. One important question in theory papers is lipibaddha, right? Writing notations of the compositions. So in that, make sure the syllables are spelt properly. Like if it is dhage tita, then it's important to include the H, okay? It cannot be dage tita, it has to be dhage tita. This is especially about for those students who are going to write their papers in English. So make sure you understand the pronunciation correctly and then spell it in the correct way. So spelling is one thing. Then second important thing while writing notations is understanding the gaps and then writing them down. So if it is dhilang, right? So dhilang has a gap in between and you have to realize it and then write it. A lot of times what happens is, all in all, the lipibaddha question is good, you have landed on the sum, but if we start checking it matra by matra, there are a lot of things missing, the gaps are misplaced, or there is the tihai, it does not have even gaps in between the pallas. So those are the things that you have to be careful about. Then write all notation signs for every notation question. So basically you'll write one avartan of theka on before you start writing the composition. That always helps the examiner understand what is the basis, what's the baseline that you are holding. So that one avartan of theka always helps the examiner to understand the assumption that you have in your mind. So one avartan of theka and then write the composition. Do all notation signs. So for sam, khali, talis and matra numbers on top of the notation, and then yatis and khandas, everything that you know, you have to write all the signs in every question. Because everything carries marks, okay? If you write the entire bandish correctly, but you fail to make notation signs, then you lose a mark there, and you definitely don't want that. So now moving on to short answer questions and long answer questions. So short answer questions, that is short notes. So write your answers in bullet points, or just like number your every statement. So go point by point rather than just writing a bulk of stuff without any punctuation or without any paragraphs. It's always hard for the examiner to keep a track of what all you have included in your answer. So I always like the papers which have bullet points. It's precise, it's concise, and it's clear out there what the student has understood, and then it's my job really is easy then, and in turn it benefits the student. When you are writing long answers, like questions which carry 8 marks or 10 marks and they are descriptive, so make sure that you do paragraphs, and wherever it applies also you can add a heading to every paragraph. And then on top of it you can underline the important points where you want to draw the attention of the examiner. So if I am running my eyes through your answer, and if I see all this, then I'm certain that the student has understood everything. I get a gist of it in a split second, which always translates into more marks. So with reference to long answers, it's making paragraphs, then giving a heading, and then underlining important points. Now, one thing that I always come across while checking papers is that students don't understand the difference between additional information and unwanted information. Okay, so I'm going to give a couple of examples to explain what I mean. For example, if the question is what are the dasha pranas of Tal, give the names and then explain any 2 pranas in detail. Okay, that's the question. So what is expected is you do a small introduction about the concept of dasha pranas, from where it came, which was the first scripture in which it was mentioned, what time was that, what era was that, then the name of the writer. So 4 or 5 sentences in short introduction to the concept of dasha prana. The question asks you to state only the names of the pranas first. So then you have to just state the names. Kala, Marga, Kriya, Anga, Graha, Jati, Kala, Yati, Lay, Prastar. 10 pranas covered. Then the second half of the question asks you to explain any 2 of these. So there is no need to explain all 10. Okay, that's complete waste of time. And this is what I call unnecessary information. All right. Now I'll compare this with something that I called additional information. So additional information would be to give examples about examples of what you are explaining in detail. For example, if I am explaining graha and jati in detail, then I'll probably come up with an example of a samagraha, vishamagraha, atit graha, anagat graha, which is additional information, right? It's not asked in the paper, but it is definitely going to add a lot of value to my answer. Other example would be about Ashtanayikas. All right. So Ashtanayika is a very prominent question. It's always there in the papers. A lot of times the question says that state the names of Ashtanayikas and then explain any 2 in detail. Okay, it's quite close to the Dashapran question that we had before. So now for Ashtanayika question, what is being asked is 8 names and then 2 Nayikas in detail. So there is absolutely no need to write details or the themes of all the Nayikas. They only want 2, so you should provide 2. Okay, but additional information. So in addition to the the characteristics of the Naika or the plot that they pose themselves in which they are situated. In addition to that, maybe you can come up with examples. You can give the thumri or the pad that you use as the example of Naika. You can write that, and based on that you can explain how the Naika is, what are the characteristics of the Naika. So this is how. Make sure you don't provide unnecessary information, but do not hesitate to add a lot of additional information. Give examples wherever possible, and also don't forget to add what you personally think about it, because that always adds a personal touch to your answer, rather than just producing what you have learned from the books or from your gurus. Don't hesitate to add what you feel about it. Biographies are another prominent question in the papers. They also carry like 10 marks. And what I always realize is that biographies have to be a lot more than what the books provide. Okay, so from the books, you take an extract of where the artist was born, the year and the place, and then who were the parents, how did he start his training, and then the life sketch, the prominent awards and prominent positions that he or she has held. And then finally, if the artist is still alive, you talk more about the body of work and then finish there. But if the artist has passed away, you also mention the circumstances under which the artist ended his or her journey. You also mention the names of the prominent shagirds or shishyas that the artist has created. Now for all this, this is a lot of information basically. So again, I'll say the same thing. Do make paragraphs and title the paragraphs like early life or body of work or accolades and awards, and then so on and so forth. So whatever you write, let the examiner understand from the header what you are including in that chunk of material. Also, going back to from where I started, in biographies, make an effort to include some anecdotes about that artist, some incidents, something that you've heard about their performance or about them as persons. It's always a good additional, it's a good personal touch to your answer, and that shows that you have done research, not just duplicated what is available in the books. And research always counts. So go that extra mile, take that extra effort, and make your answer unique. In terms of non-dancer biographies like Mirabai or Surdas, make sure that you connect that person's work to the context of dance. And a lot of times I feel that it is completely missing from the answer. Whatever is available on Wikipedia or whatever is available in the books, that is always included, like where Mirabai was born and blah blah blah. But then in the end, how is Mirabai significant to Kathak dancers? And that is completely missing in the answers. So please don't do that. Ask yourself, why is this question included in a Kathak theory paper, and then try to answer that. So you can come up with different examples of Mirabai's bhajans that are normally danced in Kathak, and for that again YouTube is a very good source of information. Try to look up different dancers. You'll find nice examples of how these bhajans have been incorporated in Kathak performances. So basically make your answer significant and make it unique, so the examiner knows that you have put in additional effort in it. For students in the US, I will definitely add something. Do not write the papers with a pencil. write the papers with a pen. Okay, I know that you all are not used to doing it in your schools, you always use pencils, so that is something that you will definitely remember while writing the papers. These are some points that I have always felt and I wanted to share with you. Outside of this, if you have any questions about theory, if you want me to talk about anything particular, or if you have any other questions about the upcoming exams, please send the questions to me and I will definitely try and answer them as and when I find time, and I'll make sure that you get your answers before your theory exams. Okay, so I'll just conclude with wishing you all the best for your upcoming exams. Do well and put in a lot of effort, work hard, study well, and the success is yours. Good luck.